Safe Recycle right to you.
Now, a powerful committee of MPs has raised concerns about government plans to radically overhaul the benefits system.
The Work and Pensions Select Committee says next year's planned reform could leave many disabled people worse off and many households with rent arrears. Paul Lewis, presenter of Radio 4's Moneybox programme, is here. Who better to bring us through all of this? It's already a complicated system and you've been through it. What are the main things to look out for?
Well, the committee says first they support the principles, but they're very concerned about how it will affect a lot of vulnerable households. 36 recommendations. I've just picked out 3 that I think are interesting. First of all, it's going to be all online. There's going to be no paper claims. You've got to have a computer, even though Ofcom, the regulator, says 11 million adults don't have internet access at home. Secondly, disability benefits. They are simplifying them and they're spending the same money on disabled people, but some people will be worse off. Some disabled people, several 100,000 according to the report. And in future, rent will be paid to the individual and not direct to the landlord. That, of course, is more like being in work, but the committee is very concerned that arrears will arise as people just won't manage to pass that big chunk of money on when they might need it for other things.
And I know you were talking to us earlier on, and you've had quite a few texts, haven't you, already from people
and tweets.
Highlighting...
Yes, I mean, several from landlords, actually, saying that if they don't get the money direct, they're going to be even more reluctant to rent property to people on benefits.
Because that was like a safety blanket for them.
Yes, it was, because they knew they'd get their rent. So, in fact, they were good tenants because the rent was paid direct by the government. If it goes to the claimant first, and of course it will be a very big chunk of money, they've got lots of other things to do with what little is left, they might keep it. Or as one person said, if they've got an overdraft, I had a tweet from one person, I can't find it now, if they've got an overdraft, it could just disappear into that and the rent couldn't be paid.
So lots of things to look out for. A lot of concern as well from people with disabilities.
Yes, I mean, they're really in the frame, aren't they? We've talked many times about changes to their benefit, this employment and support allowance and checking that they really are disabled enough or sick enough to get it. Now, that benefit itself, controversial though it is being scrapped. It's being absorbed, almost all of it, into universal credit. So there'll be another system to learn, and it's there that these changes will arise. 170,000 children will lose severely disabled money, 230,000 severely disabled adults will lose money, and there'll be less with working tax credit. So there will be £1,500, £3,000 in some cases less money for a number of people, though, as I said, the overall amount will be the same. So obviously some people will be getting a bit more.
And the whole idea is to make the process more straightforward, more transparent in a way. But if the result of that is that some people can't access it or get confused by the system, I mean, you talked about everyone having to have internet access, for example, then there could be people who kind of fall through the gaps.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the committee's concern, that some people won't even claim it because they've got no internet access at home, they can't get to a library, they can't find how to do it, so they simply won't claim, and there's no paper form. And even if you ring up, which you can do, you'll actually be guided through the online application rather than making a claim on the phone. So that's the big concern.
Other changes, of course, coming to child benefits as well. Lots of people will have got letters this week about the changes. And what's your advice? People read the letters, obviously.
This, of course, is the other end of the income scale. These are people on £50,000 or £60,000 a year or more. Their child benefit will be taken back through an extra tax. They can still keep the child benefit, but the better off partner, or the single parent herself, will have to pay extra tax normally equal to the child benefit. And some people will simply say, well, I won't bother to get the child benefit. It's important to just not receive it, so you get national insurance credits, but you can not get the benefit, or you can pay the extra tax, which will take it away again.
And if you haven't got one of the letters, you shouldn't worry, that's fine?
If you haven't got one of the letters, you probably shouldn't worry, except if you know your income is more than £50,000, you have an obligation to tell HMRC.
OK, you've written a blog on it, haven't you?
I've got a blog post on it, yes, at paullewismoneyblogpost.com. Explains it all.
Thank you very much for explaining everything. Thank you.
8:26 is the time. Let's see what's come out. BBC News Channel, of course.